I am in a little bit of a unique situation. We bought a house in January of this year, 2025, and it's now the end of 2025, and I'm reflecting a little bit on what it's like. Because we're splitting our time between Spain and here in Florida. So we spent January in Spain trying to buy the house, then we spent the summer months there, and now I'm getting ready to go back for December because I have to clear up some visa issues because I've been working on my visa for 6 months and we're trying to get this finished up. But in doing so, I've reflected back on some of my ideas about what it's like living in Spain, what it's like living in the US, and I've come up with about 5 of the myths, of the lies that we've been told in the US that I don't believe anymore after being in Europe. So I want to talk about some of those. It might end up being 4, it might end up being 10. I don't know. I have a list of a couple things we're going to go over, and I don't know how much time I'll spend on each one. But I'm going to go over some of the myths, some of the misconceptions, some of the lies that Americans believe about Europe mainly, and we're going to get into it right now. This is Uncorked in Rural Spain, and it's a place where we talk a lot about what it's like living in rural Spain. But I do spend some of my time back here in Florida. So while I'm here, I try to keep the conversation going here with videos about what I'm doing, getting my visa, some of the misconceptions about life in America versus life in Spain, some of these other topics. I'll be back in Spain next week and we'll pick up back up on what's going on with the property and my life there. But in the meantime, here's some of the things that I've sort of discovered about misconceptions that Americans have about Spain. And one of them really hit me hard the other day. I get up and I go for a walk around the neighborhood to keep in shape while I'm here a little bit. And I saw all the new construction. I saw the new buildings. I saw all the vacation rental houses. We live in Florida. We live in a beach community. And so who knows, 80% of the houses in my neighborhood are vacation rentals. So that's how I was able to retire early, was buying rental properties. And we sort of exited the game and retired early because we had enough to cover our bills, to pay for our life. And that's part of the reason we moved to Spain. It's a little less expensive and our money goes farther. But when I'm back here, the consumerism that sinks in, and I see all this stuff going on, and it makes me think maybe I exited too soon. If I tell people in Spain how much money I make off my rental properties, they might think that that's a ridiculously high amount. However, a lot of the people in the US think that I retired way too early because it's a ridiculously low amount. And somewhere in the middle lies the happiness. And this is the lie that bigger is better, more is better in the US. Our success is based on our income. Our success is based on how big our house is, how big our car is, how nice our watch is, how whatever brand is on our clothes, all these different things about success that we're led to believe in the US, and that Europeans just don't have the same standard for success. And we tend to look at Europeans and think that they have a lower quality of life because they have smaller houses, smaller incomes, smaller cars, everything's smaller over there. They don't have this bigger is better mentality. And their happiness level is a lot higher, I believe, in Europe, and their stress level is a lot lower. A friend of my wife's is a doctor, and he, like a research doctor, and he came to America a couple of years ago, and he was down in Tampa, I think for 6 months, maybe. I think he was there. He had a contract to do some research at the University of St. Pete or somewhere down there. I don't know exactly. But I expected him to probably never leave. His wife is also a doctor, and I expected him to say, "Oh my God, you can't believe how much money you can make over here in the US. You got to get over here and let's start making these dollars." But he had the exact opposite experience. He saw how much money people make, but he saw he was working 10-hour days, 7 days a week, and he saw that people only get 1 or 2 weeks of vacation, and he saw the grind, and no one was happy, and everyone was stressed out, and all they did was work, and he couldn't believe that people actually, he's heard that people work to live in the US instead of live to work like they do in Europe. But when he saw it firsthand, he couldn't wait to get back to Spain as fast as he could. And this whole idea that we have, that the hustle culture and how we rate success, is just not the same. And after seeing in Europe how happy people are and how they live and how they function with less, and they don't have this consumeristic view, it has really changed my mind. And when you go there, you see it. But when I came back here for this last couple months, it really hit me because I started thinking, maybe I did exit too early. Maybe I should buy 2 more rental properties. Maybe I should, I still have my real estate license. I just keep it active because I don't want to lose it. But I'm just like, maybe I should spend more time selling more real estate. Maybe if I just made an extra $50,000 this year or $20,000, it's just real easy to get caught back up in that. And the key to this whole thing is figuring out when you have enough and then exiting the game. And then you can use geo arbitrage or something like we're doing. But the idea that bigger is better and America's idea of success is a big fat lie that you've been told. You can have happiness without a mansion and whatever car you think is the coolest car on the planet and all those things that materialistically we equate with success. I should mention here, I know that people are going to be triggered in this video because you can't say that orange ice cream is not the best flavor of ice cream on the planet without getting comments, you don't know shit about ice cream because orange ice cream is the best ice cream and you've probably never even had ice cream. You probably only had orange yogurt. I mean, the amount of easily triggered people in the world just gets worse every day. I just had somebody in one of my videos, I just replied to them because one of my neighbors was in Spain thinking about if they might want to run cows on my property. I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. And someone said, in all capital letters, you are a stupid rich American who hasn't no idea how stuff works in Spain because cows poop on the land and that's good for land and prevents forest fires. And you are an evil person that hates animals. Just because I was like, I'm not sure if I want to have cows on my land. Anyway, I know some people are going to get triggered. That's fine. Get triggered. Leave your comments in the comments down below. Give me a thumbs down. Do whatever you want. I'm just speaking from the heart here about observations that I see in my own life. And if you disagree, you're happy to put your little comments down there because this one is going to trigger a lot of people. And that is, we are brainwashed in the US, I believe, to think that the US is the best at everything in the world. I'm waiting for you to start typing right now. Go ahead. The US is great for a lot of things. The US is great for opportunity. The US is great for starting businesses, but it's definitely not the best at everything. It's definitely not the best at healthcare. It's definitely not the safest country in the world. It's just the education is definitely not the best in the world. We're just not the best. We used to maybe be better at a lot of things than we are now. So just thinking that the US is the best place for everything, it's just a lie. It's just not true. Thinking the US is the safest place. I'm in a lot of these Facebook forums and I see why a lot of people are leaving to move to Spain because that's where I bought a house. So that's mainly the ones that I'm in. And there's always people talking about, oh my gosh, the gun violence and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. We do have a lot of gun violence in this country. But I've always been thinking, or I have thought up until very recently, all these people that are so scared of this gun violence probably live in some gated community where it's not affected them or touched their life in any way. They're just scared because they see it on the news. It's like when you get in an argument with your spouse and they're saying something you totally disagree with, and they say, well, but my feelings are valid. It's true, your feelings are valid. And if they're scared, and I get it if you want to leave the country because you're scared of gun violence. But it did recently just touch someone pretty close to me. One of my best friends who we go fishing all the time on his boat, his daughter's boss was just murdered in the middle of the street. She left work, she was stopped at a stoplight, and some guy who'd been out of jail for literally like 10 days, an 18-year-old kid, walked up to her window, stuck a gun in her face, and executed her in her car at a red light. And it turned out he thought she was someone else. Tragedy, tragic situation. But that was pretty close for the gun violence, hitting pretty close to me. I've also had one of my very best friends OD'd a couple years ago from fentanyl that he didn't know. Anyway, so the drug problems, the gun violence problems, all these things, they are real. And just in case you don't want to believe me that the US is not the safest place on the planet, I pulled up this article right here. The full list of countries that have updated their US travel guides. So this is the list of countries that have warnings against traveling to the US. This is updated July 28th of 2025. And I'll read through the list of countries here quickly as I scroll through. Austria, Belgium, Canada, China, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, Portugal, and the UK. Now, some of these, I've read through all the warnings. Some of them cite gun violence as being a danger in America. Some of them say like the U.S. has more natural disasters, hurricanes, and tornadoes, and just be wary of the weather forecast. Some of them say for transgenders and gays, you're more likely to be at the receiving end of violence. And a lot of them say like you're not guaranteed entry into the U.S. because the border patrol can just deny you entry when you arrive in the U.S. So, but you can look it up yourself. This is on Condé Nast. So, not the safest country in the world. And I also pulled this up too. Well, as long as I got my computer here, let me show you this. Maybe I'll pop this in. I also pulled up the Freedom Index for 2025, and it's got a couple different categories. I don't know exactly. Now my computer's frozen. It has human freedom, global freedom, media freedom, and freedom components. And I clicked on all of them, and the US is not in the top 10 on any of these freedom indexes as ranked by worldpopulationreview.com. You can Google freedom indexes and look for yourself. But there are many more countries where the people are more free than in the US, the land of the free, the home of the brave. So that's not me saying it. That's a little bit of internet. Quick Googling. Just Google US freedom and the freedom index rankings by country, and you can see that for yourself. So this idea that the US is the best at everything is just another lie that we've been told. You know, you just look at our food. We definitely don't have everybody knows we don't have the best food in the planet. We know that our food has many more chemicals and is much more processed than foods in Europe, and that they don't let the same chemicals in our foods here that they allow in Europe, and that they don't have an organic section in a lot of places where I go shopping in Spain, because there's just stuff that's picked from the farm and it is already organic, so they don't need to put that in a different section. Well, this video got a little long. I don't know if that was 3 or 4. I don't know how many that was exactly. I'll have to go back and count them so I can do an appropriate title for this video. But leave me a comment down below if you think that you agree with some of these lies that you think that Americans have been told, that after you get to Europe, you don't really agree with those anymore. You know, America is so big. Many Americans haven't traveled outside of its borders, and so you've just never seen anything else. I remember the first time I traveled somewhere just super crazy when I went to Morocco, and everything was so different and so crazy. It just sort of blew my mind, and maybe want to travel and see more of the world. So if you haven't been to a lot of places, maybe go see some of these places, but leave me some comments down below. Let me know if there's something else you think that's a big American lie that you learned after being in Europe. And if you like this video, go watch this video next, because you'll probably like it if you like this.